Now I want to talk about architectural presentation techniques. That's the name of our course. Let's start with the verb present. What does it mean? It means to give or bestow formally, to bring before the public, to bring or to introduce the presence of someone, especially of superior rank or status, and here to offer, to view, to show something, to bring to one's attention. Uh, but instead of presenting, maybe we can prefer the verb expressing or the noun expression. It's because more than presenting something, it's expressing something. And the definition says the expression, the noun it means an act, a process, or an instance of representing in the medium. Something that manifests, embodies, or symbolizes something else. So actually, when we say architectural presentation techniques, we mean that we are going to learn how to express our ideas, how to manifest our ideas, or how to symbolize our ideas for some other people to understand, or what we are actually thinking about. And when I say ideas, I obviously mean the solutions that we are going to create for certain problems. The expression, it's in the noun form, and the verb is express, to make known the opinions or feelings of oneself, to give or convey a true impression of something, showing, reflecting, to represent by a sign or a symbol. So this is what we are going to learn in this course. We will have some ideas, and we are going to learn how we can symbolize them, how we can express them, how we can create impressions, right impressions for them, so that other people can understand what we have thought, what kind of solution we developed. This is an image of a clay tablet, and there are some markings, there are some symbols over it. And normally, we don't understand. If we don't know anything about those symbols, then we cannot understand what it says. And there is this name on that tablet, cushion. It says cushion. And we don't know who the cushion is. We don't even know if it is a person, but we think that. So when we look at these symbols on top, we know that it resembles, it represents a certain number, 29,086. This is a number of something, and this symbol here represents barley. So we are talking about this much of a barley, and here it says 37 months, and there is this name, Kushim. So it looks like this Kushim guy had taken a note about the number of barleys and the time probably they were stored, or they were collected, or something else. So he used these symbols to take a note, to express something, to express a count. We see in this picture, we see different types of symbols, and I'm sure that all of you can recognize these symbols. These are the notes, the symbols that we use to express the music on a piece of paper. But if you are not educated about these symbols, about this representation, then you cannot be able to understand what kind of music this is. Again, different types of symbols, but we can understand it's a mathematical formula. But I don't know that if you can tell me what kind of formula is this, what is the name of this equation. But if you are not educated about physics, then you might not know what these symbols represent. So at this point, we need to understand that our brains first see something, hear something, get a sensory registration from the outside world. And when we understand what is it, we at that point we need to store that information, store that knowledge in our brain. But this was a lot easier when we were just hunters and wanderers in the prehistoric times. Before the agricultural revolution, people needed to store certain kinds of information at their brain. They don't, and this number of information was very limited. You were just supposed to know what kind of mushroom is this, or what's the difference between these two. You just needed to store that information in your brain, because when you see something like that, you needed to recall that information, that knowledge, so that you won't get poisoned. And just before the agricultural revolution, more people started to settle down. They started to prefer a certain place for their home. And normally, before that time, a group of people were maximum 100 people, 100 human beings. But after this time, they started to grow. A lot of more people started to gather up and find a place to settle down. And at this point, a new kind of knowledge appeared. Something that before this period, the older people, the ancient people didn't need. And this information is called numbers. Unless you have a system to understand this knowledge and store that knowledge, you won't be able to manage a state. You cannot manage a group of people more than 100, because before that, you didn't have to know how many trees were there in the forest or how many apples in a tree. But after this time, you had to count them and know this information if you want to share these apples among your people. And we see that taxes appeared. The state started to collect taxes from their people. And that Cushing guy was probably a state officer who collected nearly 30,000 barleys in probably 37 months. So he took a note. And this new type of information, it was huge. It was not just trying to remember or trying to store the difference between two types of mushrooms. Now you have to store lots of information about numbers, about people, about foods, something like that. It's not just counting them, but also you have to come up with a system to store that information, so that when you need that specific knowledge, you can recall it. And for people, for normal average people, your brains is not capable of storing that kind of information. You need to find something else to store that information. And at this point, we see that certain civilizations managed to create a system like this, and they created big states, very big kingdoms. And one of the first of these civilizations was Sumerians here in this region. They managed to build cities, very big cities, and maybe thousands of people were living in that cities, and they stored all kind of information, state information about their people. And they found a way to store that information somewhere else from their brains. They created the writing system. Uh, they found a way to make symbols on a solid material. At the beginning, they used clay tablets, which is very soft when it is wet. So you can easily make these markings with a tool. And once it get dries, once it gets dry, then it becomes solid hard, and so that you can be able to store that information on that clay tablet. You don't have to keep that information in your brain. And here, at this point, we see that they created two types of symbols. One is for numbers, and one is, here you see the numbers, and they were using not a decimal system, they used sexagesimal system, a system that bases sixes and its times. And we have that legacy from that Sumerian system. That's the reason why one day is divided into 24 hours, while an hour is divided into 60 minutes, or why a circle has 360 degrees. This is the reason. And they created some other symbols, not to represent letters, but the actual things like an eye. Instead of writing it with letters, they created a symbol to totally resemble this notion here. So they use this system. And there are two types of writing systems in the Earth. One is the partial writing system, which you can store certain information like numbers, certain objects, or certain notions. But with this partial writing system, you cannot be able to write a novel or write a poem. Because at the beginning, they didn't need to store all kind of information. They didn't have to store everything. They just needed to store certain things to manage that state business. But in time, we see that both the Sumerians and some other people like ancient Egyptians or Latin people, they developed a full writing system, which you can put everything on a piece of paper, on a piece of papyrus, or on any material, so that people who knows these symbols, they can read them, they can get that idea, they can understand that idea. But there is another problem here. Even if you come up with this writing system, even if you manage to put the information on a piece of clay, you still need to figure out something else. You need to find a way to store all these clay tablets or papers or papyruses in an environment where you can easily find what you need afterwards. But it is very complicated. It's very hard because in time you are going to build up, you are going to collect many tablets. There will be lots of thousands of tablets, and it will be very hard for you to find that specific one you need. So you need to come up with, you need to create a filing system. And this is what we get today, this system of folders in our computers, this system of bookshelves in libraries. This is another legacy of these ancient people. And they created schools to teach kids to become people who knows how to read and write. I'm sure that you all know that like 200 years ago, the literacy rate around the world, it was very low. not many people knew how to read and write. Just certain people, a very small part of the society knew this. And there is a different reason for that. Everybody didn't have to know, they didn't need to know how to read and write. It was a profession. Just certain people were educated for this, and this was their job, to keep that records. Something like today, not everybody doesn't have to know how to cure a disease, or there are a limited number of garbage men in our society, because everybody doesn't have to know those skills or do that job. It was very similar back then. So we have tablets of these youngsters who were trained to learn how to read and write, and they were practicing a lot on clay tablets, and this is what we get them. It's like a journal. It's in Turkish, but I can translate it something like that. One of these students, like small children, they were small children, they were students, and one of them wrote something like this on a clay tablet. I went there, I sat down, and my teacher read my tablet, and he said, something is missing, and he hit me with a stick. And one of the authorities told me, why did you speak without my permission? And he hit me with a stick. The person who is responsible from the rules said, why did you stand up without my permission? And he hit me with a stick. Why did you leaving this place without my permission? He hit me with a stick. So here in this journal, we see that they were educated not just for learning how to read and write, but they were educated to embrace a living style, so that they can stop thinking like a normal person and start thinking and behaving like a librarian or like an officer. Normally, when we store an information in our brains, and when it's time to recall it, our brains do that in a very different way. We don't have to follow a certain system to recall a memory. We can just think about it, and it will come up to the surface of our imagination or subconscious. But it's not the case with the clay tablets. You need to create a filing system or drawer system, and you need to combine different types of information under certain groups. If you do so, it will be easier for you to find a certain folder. So this is what we use in our computers. You create a folder with a name, like drawings, and you create another folder with texts. So if you want to store a drawing, you know where to put it. If you want to store a text, you know where to put it, so that in future you can easily access that information when you need it. This is our library systems, actually, with these groups, so that they were educated like this. They were hit by the teachers to adapt this kind of thinking system and this kind of behaviors. This is another example of mathematical symbols. Well, it is an easy one. We were educated in high school and secondary school, so that we are able now we are able to read it and understand what does it says. Even if the language changes, like Arabic or Indian or Chinese, we don't know how to understand these symbols because we don't know that language, but we can understand these numbers and other symbols, mathematical formulas, because we were educated. Again, if you are educated to read these symbols, then you can understand what kind of music it is. Let's see. It's Evcara Sasemai. This is a classical Turkish music piece, an instrumental piece composed by Dilhayat Hanım at this date, 17, like 50s maybe, I don't know. And let's see that. All these notes resembles one of the sounds, and you can easily follow them. When it goes up, then we hear that the sound pitch goes higher, and when they descend down, we hear that the sound pitch becomes lower. So if you know how to read these symbols, then you can easily understand this musical piece. So this is what we are going to learn in this course. We are going to learn how to write and read architecture. You will be educated to turn your ideas, your architectural solutions into symbols, and you are going to learn how to read some other people's representations. Actually, it's a way of communication through drawings on a piece of paper. Let's see, the communication it works like this. You cannot hear the voice. I'm going to share this sound and yeah.
Communication is the encoding, transmission, and decoding of information. Breakthroughs in communication.
Yeah, it's exactly like this. As an architect, you are going to imagine something, a solution, but if you don't know how to represent it, the other people cannot be able to understand what you created. And if you have problems with this course, the subjects of this course, if you do not work enough, then you may represent your ideas in a wrong way. So people may misunderstand what you have created.
Mark turning points in human culture.
Let's see it again.
Communication is the encoding, transmission, and decoding of information. Breakthroughs in communication mark turning points in human culture. Oracy, literacy, and numeracy were great developments in communication. They allow us to encode ideas into words and quantities into numbers.
Yeah, so we are going to learn how to develop architectural ideas into drawings, into proper representation techniques, not just drawings, obviously, and how to decode them, how to decode someone's previous representations. About our course, we are going to use this website. I have shared the link with you previously. I think that you have looked through these pages. At the beginning, we have course description. I want you to read the necessary information about our course. And the most important part is this learning outcomes. My main goal is with this course is to provide necessary knowledge and skills about the properties and proper usage of tools, architectural presentation tools, the tools that we use to express our ideas, and with or without these tools, how to express our architectural solutions so that other people can understand, and the last part, 2- and 3-dimensional thinking. Comprehending presented ideas and projecting. Project means to reflect something over a surface. So we get this projector machine, which reflects the image of our computers, the image of our desktops on a piece of cloth or over a wall, on a wall, and projecting architectural ideas into presentations. we need to learn how to code, encode, and decode, how to transmit these ideas. This is our schedule, but I'm going to update it because at this date, last week, we couldn't be able to do our course. So I'm going to change it. And I want you to use this website throughout the semester. Here you will see lots of different things. You are familiar with this section here. And we are going to announce the classroom arrangements every week in this section. And here you can find all the necessary lecture notes and exercises in different formats. You will see the subject, the heading here, and I am going to share you folders in PDF format, some YouTube videos, and some charts. And I'm going to add new headings, new subjects each week. So before Mondays, before the courses, please check this page here so that you can get the necessary information. Also, on Mondays, if the school system will not cause any problems, I'm going to share my face-to-face in-class lectures on online Yıldız EduTR system, and the system will automatically record the whole lecture, and I'm going to share the link here so that every student can have access to the lectures. You can either join the online session, but if you have any problems with your internet connection, if you are staying in a dormitory or in a house and you don't have access in Mondays or on Mondays between 2 and 8, then you will be able to get this link in this page so that you can be able to watch it whenever you have the access, whenever you are ready. Yes, we talked about it at the beginning for our first exercise. You are going to need the first group of tools on that page, and I want you to bring all these tools with you whenever you come to school. The first item is a T-square, and we need two sets of set squares. One is the 45 degree, the other is the 30 to 60 degree. We are going to need both of them, and I want you to get a bigger one, like 32 centimeters or 42 centimeter long. It doesn't matter, just one of these. And you may want to get a pocket size, a 10 centimeter, just this one. And you are going to have a drafting pencil which holds a 2mm lead. You need a sharpener like this. And when you are trying to buy leads, you are going to see that there are different options for your leads, which are symbolized with these letters. I want you to get a lead of HB, a lead of 2H, and a lead of 2B. They are about the softness of the leads. With B group, it goes like this: B2, B3, B4, B. It becomes softer, and when you draw, you will get darker and thicker lines on a piece of paper. And with the H series, it again goes like H2, H3, H4, H. You will get a grayer and thinner lines. So we are going to need one lead of 2H, one lead of middle one, HB, and one lead of 2B, so that you will be able to create both dark and thick lines and gray and thin lines. You need an eraser, both of them, a regular eraser, normal eraser, and a pen eraser. But be careful about the quality. You need a one that doesn't tear the paper or doesn't smash the leads and makes it dirtier. the paper. You can have an adhesive tape, a drafting compass. I advise you to get one of these so that you can put your drafting pencil here in this adapter, and it will be very easy for you to draw. You need to have A4 papers. These are called drawing papers, and you need a thick one, at least 110 gram, and it shouldn't have a texture. These are the brands or marks. And you should know that when I say A4, it means the size of the paper. It's 297 centimeters on this direction, and 210 millimeters on this direction. And when you combine two A4s together, when you combine two A4s side to side, then you will get an A3. When you combine two A3s, you will get an A2, and 2 times of A2 means A1. It goes like this. So you need at the beginning A4s. You can just buy like 10 or 20 of them and refill in time. These are the first group. I want you to obtain all of these tools and bring them with you whenever you come to the class. But you don't have to buy new ones. You can just try to find second hands, or you can borrow if you have friends. Yeah,